Morning. It's day after Mother's Day. I was hoping I would get over here and I have some shishito peppers I wanted to plant, but they need to be transplanted soon. But today is not the day. Last night we had another big storm on top of, I think we had 4 inches of rain last week. So you can imagine what that does to a farm. It's just a swampy mess. I'll show you kind of how I've set up the farm. This whole area was very, very wet before I even put a plot here. As a matter of fact, inside my greenhouse, I have crawfish that almost live there. They love the greenhouse. It stays pretty wet on the ground. I'm gonna add dirt to kind of do what I did here. So if you can see my pathways, there's water sitting on there. I have what's called sandy loam soil, but it's only the top part of the soil, and underneath that is a clay cap. And it's really hard to penetrate that with water. So whenever I get a lot of water, I get a flood, basically. So what I originally did was I trucked in a bunch of compost. I spent thousands of dollars on compost. Probably more than anything else on this farm I spent on compost. Maybe the greenhouse is more expensive, but compost has been, it's a great additive to the soil. And eventually you'll be able to do what I kind of did here. If you can see, my actual growing areas aren't really wet. It's just the pathways. That doesn't mean it's not saturated in the ground, because it is. But it is higher, so it dries out quicker, and it's not completely soaked so that the plants don't die. You need oxygen in the soil, and whenever there's a lot of water, plants can withstand that for a few days, but you can't just keep them submerged like that. They'll die. And one of the things that really doesn't like it is peppers. The other thing is my avocado. They really don't like to be in standing water at all. And my avocado in the greenhouse is doing poorly, and I'm hoping it lives, but I don't really know what else to do right now about it. I might take it out of the ground and put it in a pot and see if I could dry it out and then replant it. But I did want to give you a little tour, since I have stuff I didn't want to do today, or I did want to do today that I can't do. So I'll just give you a tour of what's kind of growing out here. Right here I have 3 kinds of onions. They're red, yellow, and a sweet yellow. Sweet yellows apparently do really well here in Texas. Just kind of like Georgia, the Vidalias. It's the right weather for them. They like a little warmer than other kinds of onions. This right here is the first row of tomatoes. This is a indeterminate type called Chef's Choice, which goes all the way down. This is a whole row of Chef's Choice. These are different kinds of heirlooms. This is a Homestead. I have Florida 91 down here. I'm walking through water right now. You can hear it sloshing. And these in the back all the way down is the rest of them are Juliet's, which is usually my first tomato to ripen. And as you can see, I've got a lot of them. Also, you can kind of see how I do tomatoes. I know I talked about it in the last video, but I have no leaves all the way up pretty far, over about a foot up. I have no leaves at all. I pinched them all off when I planted them. One good thing to do when you're planting tomatoes, kind of keep a balance between the growth of the plant and the ripening of the fruit. And one of the ways you do that is by pinching some of the leaves off. Some of the professional growers say to pinch off 3 leaves a week. You want about 15 or so, maybe 10 to 15 leaves on a plant as it's growing. That way you continue the production of the fruit, but you also have enough photosynthesis to make the fruit red. So right now I probably have less than that, because when I transplant them, I take off most of the leaves, let it grow. Most of the growth is happening then. If I do get some tomatoes early on, great. If not, I'll get more later down the road. I also like I said, here in Texas, it gets so hot that you kind of have to set the fruit as early as you can. So you want as much fruit production as you can in the beginning, and then try to keep the plants alive as long as you can. It's really a crapshoot here. This is a row of eggplants, which are actually starting to get eggplants on them. So that's pretty early for eggplant. The eggplant likes it warm. They grew really great. I can see right there, you can see these are called calyxes, and then the fruit comes out of that. And then we have another row of tomatoes. I always grow lots of tomatoes. Most of my crops are tomatoes. This is an heirloom variety called Mule Team. I have all kinds of different heirlooms down here. There's one's called Orange Strawberry. There's a black zebra, green zebras. There's one called Aussie. I can't remember them all off the top of my head right now, but they're all heirloom types that I get from a great seed company. If you guys want heirloom type tomatoes and you just want to grow a small packet of them in your backyard, one of my favorite is a guy who runs a thing called Tomato Fest. His name's Gary Ibsen, and I've been getting seeds from him for probably 10 years. He's the best heirloom tomato seed provider I know of, and the seeds always come really well. They're packaged pretty well. Like, I like foil packages from like Osborne Seeds or something, but that's more of a professional grower type thing. Gary Ibsen grows hundreds of kinds of heirloom seeds. He has rare varieties that you can't probably find anywhere else in America. He has contacts all over the world with tomatoes. So he has a great site. Just go, I think it's tomatofest.com, and you could find all the heirloom tomatoes you want. And I always get my heirlooms from him. I get other tomato seeds from the big box, not big box stores, but the big seed companies. But if I'm buying heirlooms, I buy them from him. So it's a great idea. If you're just growing a small amount of tomatoes, and the heirlooms aren't always as productive as the more commercial varieties, but they taste better usually, and you can get a lot of different kinds of tomatoes that you just can't get from a big box store or seed packets somewhere like that. This is a row. I have a row cover on it. It needs to be weeded. I have not put the straw down on this first, but this is a melon. It's a honeydew type, which is an orange honeydew, and it's a smaller variety. It's called orange something, I forget now. But I don't normally grow melons, but I thought it'd be fun to try. So I put them in the ground. We'll see what happens. I might just I probably won't end up with so many that I have to sell a bunch, but this is a variety of Sun Gold tomatoes. What's cool about Sun Golds is they taste really good. What's not cool about Sun Golds is, and I'm worried that in this area it's going to be even worse, they tend to split easily. A lot of people consider them the best tasting cherry tomato. They're yellow, but they split and they have really thin skins, so they don't transport well. But I'm hoping at a farmer's market or selling them close, you can package them up and they don't have to be shipped far, and that they'll be able to be sold here. If not, I'll eat them because they're really good. This is Grand Marshal and another variety at the end called BHN 579, I think. Both commercial type varieties, but really tasty beefsteaks. In here I have zucchini, another row cover. The row cover helps keep bugs off of them, and if anyone's ever grown zucchini, they know they get these things called a squash borer. So the squash borer burrows into the vine, and it's gross, and they have these like worms in the vine, and they put out a whole bunch of like crud and eventually kill the vine. So if you put this on, it keeps the moth that lays the eggs of the squash borer vine from getting to the squash, so they can't lay eggs on it and have that problem. So what you do is you keep this on as long as you can until they're big. And then hopefully the squash is big enough to withstand any damage from the squash borer vine. So that's my key to doing squash. Here I have, I did put straw down on this one. For some reason, it's a lot weedier than the other ones. I have no idea why. Might be a different kind of straw that I used. But these are my jalapenos and poblanos. And like I said, they're not doing too well, and that's probably because of the rain. There's definitely the same nutrients as everywhere else. Everywhere else looks good, but I think this has just been really wet. As you can see, there's almost a flood next to it, and it's into the bed here. Going the wrong way, into the bed here a little bit. And like I said, peppers don't like to be wet, not that wet anyway. And I mean, they're still alive. They're still doing okay. They'll probably bounce back once it dries out a little, but they are too wet right now and are not growing very well. But they're putting out flowers and everything looks green. They're just not very big. This is a row of my cucumbers. This is a slicer I really like called Bristol. Highly suggest Bristol to anyone. This is hog damage. I'm still dealing with for some reason they have not ripped up my actual plants yet, which I know I'm playing with fire here. I spent last Friday in the rain and the wet shoring up the fence around the property to try to keep the hogs out. I don't see any new hogs damage in here at the moment, so I'm hoping that it worked for now. I have to fix it all the time because they're smart and they tear it up in a different spot each time, and I keep shoring it up. I'm sure they're getting tired of coming in here that way, and if it doesn't work, I'm gonna end up just hunting them. That's the only way to probably really make the solution work. So yeah, I'll come up here with a couple friends and a couple shotguns, and we'll take care of the problem some night if that keeps up. But I'm trying to be nice. We're trying to be neighborly with our hogs, but they keep trespassing. So, and I can't have them kill eventually wreck the farm. So we'll do what we gotta do if we have to. We'll see. There is another way to do it, I think, and that's hire someone to trap them. That's kind of expensive and stupid way, in my opinion. But I have some friends who process hogs. We can have a nice little wild hog dinner, make some sausages. It'll be great. So this is a row of cucumbers also. This is the pickling cucumber line. This is part of my fence that actually I use. It's really a deer fence. It's a really strong poly. It withstands up to apparently like 1,300 pounds of pressure per inch. It is plastic though, but it's very strong UV rated plastic. It's not like something that's gonna break down over time. It's supposed to last at least 10 years, but they say it lasts like 25 years. So this is Citadel pickler, and I have another one over there. I think it's Supermax is the other one. Still having some weed pressure as always. And every time it rains like this, the only thing that does grow well is the weeds. They love it. You can just pour water all over these things and they'll be 5 feet in a week. It's crazy. So I'm dealing with that. There's a volunteer cucumber down here. I don't know if you can see it, but that big one down there. And there we go. That big one. That came in from last year's cucumbers. They say to rotate crops, but I only have a couple of these fences set up for the cucumbers. So I'll put in other crops between the cucumbers. Like I had peas and string beans there, pole beans, just to get some nitrogen in the soil basically. When I do have the time to put them in at the right time, I'm actually going to use them for a crop to get some green beans and green beans and peas. But this year I did not have the time, so I put some in just for the nitrogen in the soil, just to kind of, you know, add to that. Any legume is a nitrogen fixer, and they will leave nitrogen in the soil on their root nodes. If you ever pulled up a legume plant, you'll see these little bumps all over the roots. That's nitrogen. Those are nodules of nitrogen. So if you leave that root in the ground, put nitrogen in your soil, helps other plants grow. It's just like fertilizer. So anyway, that's a little farm update. I'm gonna get some things done. Gonna do some mowing, I think, where it's not wet. I'll do some weed whacking, get the front looking a little bit better. But today, and I have a lot of new plants to plant. Actually, I got some fun stuff, and maybe I'll make a video of that. All right, see ya.